on behalf of everyone at WindowsWear, I just want to thank each and every one of you for being part of this teacher networking session. From our perspective, teachers, the school, our school members, all the educators that work in this industry are really the core foundation to WindowsWear. You know, you guys are on the front lines when it comes to educating the next generation of creators, of leaders within our industry. And at the same time, there's so much that you guys do to provide relevant content, to create engagement with the students, to provide educational opportunities, networking opportunities. And you know, on behalf of everyone at WindowsWear, I just want to let each and every one of you know that we are 100% here for you. Obviously, this semester, the school year, they're bringing us brand new challenges, but obviously at the same time, you know, we're all digitally connected, and we can certainly deliver content, information, community to all of our member clients. I'm actually on the line, joined by Raul Tovar, who's our creative director and co-founder, as well as Nicole Simi, who is our senior creative manager, on the line as well. So, you know, as you know, WindowsWear is a resource that's used by many different brands and retailers for competitive information, research, and trends. We have a community of 21,000 members, which is absolutely fantastic. And, you know, when we started the company about 8 years ago, you know, we wanted to celebrate, capture, and connect all the creative people that work at different brands and retailers all around the world. And as I mentioned, you know, all the educators are right at the fingertips, right at the pulse of connecting with all the future creatives within our industry. So obviously, you know, there's a special place in our community as well as our heart for, you know, for all the educators and all the work that you guys do. You know, over the next few months, you'll see that our content, we're actually going to be adding a lot of what we believe is really game-changing content on WindowsWear. So, you know, a lot of the content that you see now is, you know, window displays, pop-up shops, a lot of things in regards to the brick and mortar experience. But in the near future, we're going to be adding similar databases, but for everything digital, whether it's products, e-commerce, social media, email marketing, to really give a more comprehensive viewpoint of absolutely every brand that we have. And just like our database of window displays dates back to 1931, we're going to start to really capture and archive all the different creative touch points of every different brand. And that should be a way more engaging. WindowsWear is already a fantastic resource, but just taking everything to the next level that we do. And as the people that are on the call that have known WindowsWear for many years, you know, we work with over 200 school programs all around the world, including high schools, individual high schools, including statewide high schools. So there's certain states in the US that every fashion, apparel, art program has a membership, as well as colleges, universities across the US, Canada, Mexico, South America, Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. And just to give people perspective on all the different schools that are members of WindowsWear, in the past couple months alone, we've got schools like Montevallo University in Alabama, all the way to King Abdulaziz University in Saudi Arabia, right? So our community is vast and wide, and there's lots of creatives and lots of people teaching this industry globally. And obviously we all live in a very small world, and the internet is helping to create that for all of us. You know, as you know, we do a lot to highlight the work of students, because obviously students, they need jobs, they need internships, they need to promote themselves, they need to, you know, they got themselves at a certain level, which is, you know, might be from a middle school to a high school, and then from the high school to the college, university, and then they have to go to the next step. And we do as much as we can and to highlight the work that the students do, whether it's our student awards, where we ask every year all the students to post their projects that they're doing on their WindowsWear profiles, as well as our mentorship program, where we work with different leaders from the industry to provide projects and to create more engagement when it comes to the work that the students are doing to actually help to solve real world decisions that brand might be facing. We also offer teacher development programs in New York City, as well as a way for educators to come to New York, explore what's happening in retail, and meet other people in the industry as a way to be inspired, and also to it really serves to really help to update the curriculum. Obviously in regards to everything that's going on in retail or in merchandising or in design, there is absolutely so much that is happening and so many technologies and so many new ways of doing things that, really we believe that anything that's in a textbook, is dated in some way, shape, or form. So obviously with everything that we deliver, we try to deliver it in the most real time and most technologically forward way. We also understand that many times, we're based in a city like New York City, and many times what happens is, people plan trips, right? There's it's very fun, it's educational, it's a way to get out of the classroom, and we are offering for all of our school members the ability for WindowsWear to provide any sort of programming that you need, whether it's us doing a trend talk or presentation, us highlighting any sort of news or information from our site, or even if it's doing a virtual tour of New York City. We don't necessarily want any student to feel like they've been left out in any way, shape, or form with what's going on with the social distancing and the way that a lot of schools have implemented, Zoom classrooms and whatnot. We actually want to embrace the technology and want to deliver the content better than ever before. And obviously, given what we've got at this moment in time, we're equipped to do that, which is absolutely fantastic. And Jolene Mujica heads that for us. So, that being said, we don't necessarily want to take up too much time from WindowsWear speaking. We have about 45 minutes. We don't necessarily want to go longer than an hour. And we also plan on doing this again. So this is not necessarily the only time that we want to do this. And actually it's been technologies like Zoom and online meetings and conferences that have allowed us to connect in this way. So we want to continuously do this, because we also understand that everyone has their own program, and everyone has their own ways of doing things. And obviously, if we can create synergies between allowing our members to meet each other, and obviously each and every one of you signed up for a teacher networking. So that being said, we would love to kick it off. If there's about 45 minutes, and we'd love to have everyone who's a part of this call introduce themselves, talk to us about a little bit about your background. We have a little bit more time. I expected about 30 people, but there's about 15, so we can have a little bit more time to really get to know each other. Talk to us about what you teach, and talk to us about something that you can share with the WindowsWear community, something that you feel is important. Maybe it's a challenge you face, maybe it's a solution you've implemented, or maybe it's a thought or an idea that you have for us or anyone else, because obviously the goal is we all want to learn from each other. Would anyone like to start it off? If you're sitting if I could see you and there's a front row, I would pick on the front row, right? That's a trick. Or maybe it's the opposite, right? Pick on someone in the back. But no, I'll just I'll let whoever wants to kick it off, kick it off.
I can start.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go next.
Oh, you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, my name is Suzanne, and I teach at the Academy of Art in San Francisco. I teach the visual merchandising 1 and 2 class. My background is I studied visual merchandising at the Academy as well, and after that I moved to Stuttgart, Germany, where I worked as the Schaufenstergestalterin or visual merchandiser for 5 years there. And then, so personal circumstances brought me back to the States. And then I worked at the Macy's Union Square, the flagship store as a visual merchandiser there until the beginning of this year. But I've been with the Academy of Art for almost 4 years now. And WindowsWear is something that I have the students do on the very first day of class in the first module. I have them sign up with an account, and I have them already learning how to research and navigate the database. And then I have them, pick and choose windows that they find appealing, and then I integrate it with the curriculum, and as far as having them identify the principles and elements of design. So yeah, this is something, a resource that I'm really excited to be able to, be here with you guys and share about it. And one of the challenges I think that we're going to face is the birth, hopefully after COVID is over, of like experiential merchandising. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the industry morphs post this pandemic. So that's it for me.
Okay, I can go next if you want, John.
Perfect.
All right, I'm Louise Franklin. I teach at Sheridan College in, I was gonna say Oakville. We moved to Mississauga, and my colleague Louise Campbell is on the line. Hi, Louise. So I took the program years ago, the visual merchandising program, and now I teach. I'm the coordinator of it. I teach visual merchandising. I teach retail merchandising. I teach material design. I teach trade show design. So a lot of different aspects of the business. And we normally go to New York City. John has hosted us many times with my colleagues or myself, and we bring students there. And we start working with WindowsWear again, because I have them very first project that they do is a research project about global retail and what's going on multicultural global retail. And WindowsWear doesn't cover all of the areas that we look at, but it does cover a lot. So we work really closely with our librarian. We're in the Faculty of Animation Arts and Design. And if anybody does have a good rapport with a librarian, or they're linked in, that's something that's really, really helps. So she'll come in, Shelley, her name is Shelley, and she'll come in and introduce the students to WindowsWear, how to get working with it, and then I'll help them. And they use it throughout. Another colleague of mine, Diane, she teaches fashion styling, so she does do a lot of the windows for the fashion. And I know that now the company is expanding more, and you're getting into more things, because right now, excuse me, especially in Canada, we are not about display. We are about merchandising. And I think if you can go in that area, that's going to be really strong, because that's what's going to make our industry survive. Yes, it's beautiful to see all these wonderful stores in Singapore and all over the world, but we don't have this in Toronto. We have very limited, excuse me. My background, I worked for a high fashion retailer for years. I did the prop studio. I worked in the prop studio. And then I worked all across Southern Ontario. It was called Lipton's International. They're no longer around. And then I had a good stint at the Art Gallery of Ontario. I was one of the display designers there. It was a phenomenal job, just loved it. And I had my own business for years as well, doing lots of different freelance, etc. So I've done photo styling, fashion styling, all kinds of things. So very diverse career. And when WindowsWear came on, and I know I talked to Jon right at the very beginning, and it's a very data-driven company, which was really interesting. And the way that you've built it up over the years does help students. Students do go there for, they do go to the database for resources to look at what's going on. But really, with the limited amount of money that there is right now, a lot of the stores, I think, are going to be moving more towards a merchandising and a switch. I've been going on lots of, I've joined many, Jon and Rule, you are on, I've been on many of your sessions. I've been on multiple sessions for different companies that have put things on, and it's all about the merchandising. And I think that's something. I emailed Jon. I don't know if anybody's really thought about this, or you probably have, if you did actually teach finishing the year off. I found that teaching on Zoom or having a lot of students wouldn't put their screens and their video because they were embarrassed of their situation. And I found that you'd think something like this platform would be more equalizing, but in fact, it wasn't. And it was a huge challenge for our students. Another challenge is we're from Canada. And like I say, I don't know if we can take our students across the border. Legally, I don't know if our department, like the legal department, will allow students to cross into the United States. I don't know when that's gonna relax, because we've always, we've gone once a year. So not having that access to Chicago, to New York is going to be hard. So I approached Jon and asked if we could set up a virtual tour for our field trip, which I think, instead of having an excursion, doing something like that, which he told me to connect with Jolene, which I think is going to be phenomenal in this time. We will be coming back to New York. We just don't know when, when we will be able to. So
yeah, and Louise, very much appreciate you sharing that feedback and all those points. And look, I mean, that's a very right on perspective. And that's what I mentioned before. We don't necessarily want the students to lose out on the quote unquote experience. So we're still going to provide that experience. It's just going to be done in a virtual way. And obviously, even though they can't physically cross the border, we'll virtually cross the border with them. And that's how we can not only provide a service of content and a website and posting projects and whatnot and connecting with people from the industry, but also really providing that quote unquote experience that may be lost for this next semester or year. We don't necessarily want the students or anyone to lose on that experience. And that's, with everyone on this call, we're 100% available. It's just a matter of figuring out the day, the time, and what topic are we doing the experience about. Is it a trend topic? Is it a New York City tour? Or is it multiple? We're happy to plug into the classroom virtually, just like we're doing here.
And Louise,
yes.
Hi, this is Raul. Before we move on, just coming back to that point where you were saying, how do you use WindowsWear in the classroom in the beginning? And you mentioned something like WindowsWear doesn't kind of like cover all of the areas that I talk, but that's one of our goals, ultimately. So I would love to hear quickly, if you can, briefly, what is that you think we could be offering that we don't have, or that something that you could see? Because we're about to like deploy some very good feature, and it's very important for us always to keep updating the product as the industry is moving on. We started with Windows because that was the interest like 9 years ago, but we moved quickly to interiors and to packaging and to e-commerce. And now we're like doing the next big step, and we would love for us to hear from you, like, what is that you think is the next thing that you need in WindowsWear?
The growth area, no pun intended, in Canada is the cannabis. So we're seeing a lot of that, and that is a huge growth area. And in the retail merchandising advanced, which I teach in second year, we talked about that. And there's in Canada, we have either the recreational or we have the medicinal. That's one growth area. The other thing, when I mentioned about not all areas, what I break up the world into continents, and there in some continents you're not there. That's what I mean by that. Yeah. Which, and there's not, the retailers aren't necessarily there. I always have people like say Russia. I don't think there's any pictures that you have from Russia. I'm not 100% sure to date, but things like that. But it is cannabis, and as well as merchandising and unique ways of merchandising. We've also had a lot of, and I've had to try to rethink how to teach this too, with merchandising for all of the different options. The curbside pickup, how does that look? You know, how does the space look? And Jon alluded to that at the beginning, that you're going to look at all those different things. And then this whole idea of the collective. So it seems like a lot of online companies want the retail presence. They want the physical presence, and they want to try things out. We're not really seeing that a lot in Canada yet. We're a lot smaller market, but I've been seeing it a lot on the with a lot of the different companies that I've been I'm going to be teaching that with a lot of the companies I've been sitting in on the sessions.
Okay, perfect. Very fair points. We'll take in consideration a lot. Thank you.
Okay, good. Welcome.
We're gonna go send our team to go capture cannabis, and whatever all the educators and all the students think about it, I'm sure they're gonna think it's a lot of fun.
Perfect. Who's next? Otherwise, guys, somebody has to go next. Otherwise, Jon is gonna go.
I'll go next.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, so I'm Michelle Nahum-Albright. I teach at Parsons in New York. I do not teach visual merchandising. I teach in a visual communications program. It's new to me. My background is as a art director, creative director from the beauty industry, and obviously windows and merchandising are very important there. But within my visual communication class, I'm talking a lot about experience and about what is experience and where is it now? You know, it may not be a window, it may not be going into the store, or it may, but I'm trying to talk to them generally about the expansion of experience as consumer value.
I love that. And I love how you visually created New York City as an experience with your virtual backdrop as well.
I miss my city, so I decided to bring it with me.
100%. Thank you so much for sharing that. Who's next? Who next would like to introduce themselves?
If I could jump in for a minute, this is Daniel Green. I teach at the Savannah College of Art and Design. And I just want to say at the outset, a big thank you to Raul, Jolene, Jon, everybody who joined us in our virtual classroom this past spring quarter. Your visits were incredible, and your identification of the trends and developments that really seem to be impacting the practice were very rich material for our students, particularly as they worked on their projects. So great help. Thank you very much. I just also like to echo that if I think about where we were teaching visual communication and visual merchandising a few years ago, I would say it was probably 70% on ground. A lot of window display, in-store feature shops, pop-up shops, installations, those kind of things. And those still matter. They're changing, we know, but they still matter. But I am increasingly getting students who are wanting to think about what's really working with visual communication when it comes to creating marketing assets for a digital environment. What are people doing out there that's really unique and innovative to engage people with visual content in a way that's happening not so much on ground, but online. And I love the fact that you do things like with the e-commerce, you show the packaging experience and all of that. But I would love to also maybe see places where you're providing links or examples of how people are doing something really different with either a website or maybe even something they prepared and put into social media, something that's really compelling to engage people in a digital environment.
Dan, you're 100% on that, and that's what we alluded to. In the next couple months, you'll hopefully see that big way. on WindowsWear, and we'll reconnect with everyone to let you guys know when it's available. As Raul mentioned, this is the next sort of phase of a lot of content that we're adding into the site. So,
and it's going to be big because, you know, talking about online things is just social media, web, even phone, telephone communication and all that. So it'll be a big step. Dan, if may I ask you a question, just because I joined one of your classes, and I hope if you can share with the other teachers, what was kind of like a personal challenge of you teaching online, and how do you kind of like solve it? Or was WindowsWear was in any help because of to solve that problem or something like that?
Well, the answer is you were of great help, because when we approach the practice of visual communication, we like to employ the process of design thinking. And design thinking begins with inspiration.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the hardest hurdle to get over. But presentations like the one Jolene shared, insights like what you shared with us, Raul, in terms of your perspectives on what you're paying attention to and what you're seeing going on in the world around you. Sometimes it's easy in a cluttered world for people to miss some of those signs, some of those developments. And when you came in and began to bring these forward and say, think about it, the way you presented Burberry and what was being done at Burberry to rethink the brand identification and how the brand was being presented, that really sparked a lot of ideas on the part of my students, and started thinking about, okay, if my mission was to elevate Burberry or have it thought about in a different way, what would I have done with the logo? How would I have done this? When we get that kind of inspiration going, that's when our students start to produce some of their best work. And so I would say helping us get into that inspiration moment where we can really start to develop some of our own creative ideas for projects, that's a huge plus. And I saw it happen, you know, in reality with your visits to our classes during the spring quarter.
Perfect.
Some of the issues we've had, we have this wonderful blessing, or we had at SCAD, where we had literally built-in professional display windows. And our students could get into those windows and actually create their own visual displays. I think you've seen some of those, Raul, yourself and John. Being away from those, we've really tried to help our students understand how they can still continue to do that, how they can still develop creative displays. Dealing with the restraints that come with the window is this size, you know, the window is this deep, you know, do something that could be done in real world. So we've been experimenting with different software pieces that can help them render more in 3D. I'd be interested to know if anyone else has software they're turning to. We're finding we're using Adobe Dimension more to help students render some of these ideas. When it comes to shops and spaces, some of our students are getting into Revit and working with that. I think one of our big hurdles you were asking me about is how do I get them to do window displays when they can't get in the windows?
Is anybody using SketchUp?
We are at FITM. We have a class, we have a couple of classes that, and pardon me, I'm Cindy Patino. I'm the director of our visual communications and our advanced study for entertainment set design and set decoration for the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles, California. And also one of our instructors, Brandy Alexanian, is also on this call today. And Brandy could probably speak more to that. She teaches e-commerce and visual merchandising, and also merchandising in the corporate environment. But SketchUp is used in several of our classes that we teach in our program. Brandy, do you want to input anything about for e-commerce that you've used?
Yeah, I mean, the students love SketchUp once they can wrap their head around it and learn it well. It's frustrating to them when they're just learning it because they want to do more and they know they can do more, but once they really dig into it, they love it. It's really their favorite program to use for designing store design and things like that.
Yeah, we've had actually, this is our we're on, our college is on a quarter system. So for the spring quarter, we took our classes remote and we were teaching through Zoom. And we actually had a really terrific quarter and a lot of terrific feedback from the students about being on Zoom. A couple of things that we found was really interesting were their homework assignments. They did them in advance. They were on time. And they liked the one-on-one connection. We found that, and Brandy can also add to this, we found that they were more active and participating through Zoom. And just so engaged in a lot more conversations. We utilized the breakout rooms, try to make it as most interactive as possible. And it was really terrific that we also relied on the industry. Many of our classes brought in industry guest speakers, and more people were available because a lot of them were working from home, so they were able to join the Zoom classes. So we had some very reputable industry executives that were able to share their experiences with our students. Brandy, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, the students have adapted really well. I think the hard part about it is being that we are VCOM, we're all very hands-on people, I think, from a teaching aspect and a student aspect. So, you know, figuring out how to keep them entertained and moving and working together, you know, throughout the class. But I just really tried to implement things that would make them get up and do things around their house that they wouldn't normally think of. I think one of the things that I did in our e-commerce is we look at space design and space planning, and where you would normally go into a store and kind of do a visual audit. You know, I made them get up in their homes and do a visual audit of their home. And, you know, what do your exits and entrances look like? What are your architectural elements? What's your natural lighting? And kind of figure out how would they use their home as a selling space, and just kind of the same idea. But I think that really was our biggest challenge, is just keeping them, you know, going throughout that 3-hour Zoom class. Or this quarter, I'm teaching a materials and props class, which is 6 hours. So it's also very hands-on, lots of demos, but really engaging with them. And I think the second aspect of it that I've noticed is that they're missing that personal connection of being around the students. So I try and start off each class with a conversation with each student individually with the class. And we talk about trends. In my e-commerce class, I really focus on viewing different websites and starting to look at websites with a visual eye rather than a consumer's eye. And that just gets them engaged and talking back and forth. And pretty soon we're having interactions like we're in an actual classroom, and they start to forget that we're Zooming. So, you know, just making adjustments for, you know, the new world that we're in. But I'm still crossing my fingers for hybrid for fall, so we'll see.
We're almost there, Brandy.
Can I ask one more question? I just want to know, since we talked about SketchUp, how people are feeling about Dimension. No?
We've only just started using it in a couple of ways. I mentioned we're using it with things like rendering 3-dimensional windows. We're also experimenting with it for some packaging and product designs that we're doing, like in our beauty and fragrance program. So we just have gotten underway. So I can't tell you this is the answer and the be all end all, but I will tell you it's fairly intuitive. It doesn't take a long time to get comfortable with it. And I have seen some nice renderings coming out of it.
The reason I asked is because one of the classes I teach is package design. And we went remote in the middle of last semester. And so several of my students who had never used it before transitioned to doing their projects completely in Dimension with very good results.
We've tried everything, And I got so frustrated because students naturally want to go to Illustrator or Photoshop and try to figure out how to make it work. And we were getting some really bad work. But Dimension has been a moment where I've really started to see some fragrance bottles, some secondary packaging, makeup, tester tubes, things. I'm really starting to see some really quality work come out with Dimension. And I'm not trying to oversell it now because we've just started using it, but some of the best work I've seen from students has come out of Dimension.
Well, I'm agreeing because we just experimented with it and I don't know how to use it, but the students did teach themselves. And I was quite impressed, not only with what they brought in, but what they imported to adjust the program.
Our students were thrilled to finally be working in something that's not two-dimensional, something that is three-dimensional and can look more like they're actually making something, not just sketching something. So absolutely.
Can I ask something? Are we talking about a program named Dimension or the Dimension within SketchUp?
Now, Dimension is a program within Adobe.
Oh, okay. I've heard about it, actually. All right. Okay, cool. Because our students used SketchUp Pro extensively, but I find it a bit flat. And a lot of them have been using, to make it more realistic, they also learn how to draw like perspective drawing, and they'll do some composite. And I find a lot of students are doing composite just to give it a little bit more life. And then they're doing, they're also, with SketchUp Pro, you can actually make it look like you can do drive-throughs and things, flybys, things like that. And a lot of them are doing that and adding shine and luster and things like that. So if you have the Pro version, it's good, but I don't know Dimension. I know it's a new program though, fairly new. So.
And Michelle, just making sure that I'm sure you are, but just making sure you are aware of all the inspiration for packaging that we have at the WindowsWear in one of the databases.
Oh, I'm actually not aware of it. Wow. I looked at it very briefly. I'm probably going to go look at it again.
Yes.
I saw somebody was referencing the fact that you're not only showing packaging, but you're showing its relationship to the overall brand.
Yes, of course.
And for a different one of my classes, which is Visual Communication Lab, that could be very helpful.
Yeah, just as we have windows from all over the world, we have the most iconic product of every brand that we bought, and we received it at the office, and we filmed the whole unboxing experience. So you could see how big the box was, if they included a thank you note, what kind of tissue paper they have, was it branded, it had a ribbon, it had not, and you'd be amazed and surprised. I mean, I could be looking at those videos for hours, just, even in stuff that is not mine. And you'll be amazed by, how many big brands, they really have their shopping experience in a very good point, in a very good level when you go to the store. But when you order online, it doesn't like really match, the quality of the brand and the product with how they ship it to you, which is kind of like disappointing in a way. And some other is the other way around. Like, their store could be just very simple and flat and whatever, but the packaging is just a very, very great experience. So we have over 500 brands and products that you can experience. And it's a 1-minute video, and you can see really what the product looks like, how it was packed and shipped and all that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who would like to go next? Perfect, Shireen.
Hi, everyone. I'll just go next because I'm also from a similar background and actually from the same school as Michelle. So I'm Shireen Soliman. I teach at Parsons, but also at Pratt. And the coursework that I, in my courses is Visual Communication Studio, but it's less from a marketing merchandising angle and much more obviously on the design end. So thinking about really leaning into that idea of experiential storytelling, right? So I am very interested to learn more about what you'll be doing, in terms of what we're seeing now on the digital platform rather than in the physical space. I like the ideas, that I'm hearing really of, how to get students, because, we're also inundated and saturated with all the stories and everything social media. And so how to get them to sort of parse out, what is styling or, sort of in a more superficial way, and really intentionally, mindfully creating a visual, compelling, engaging story. And so I'm actually on your website now trying to figure out how I can set up an educational account or something. So maybe I could follow up with one of you gentlemen afterwards. I just think that this was incredibly helpful in terms of, again, really understanding design, aesthetic, philosophy, brand, and then how that manifests in terms of engaging with that outward facing audience, telling that story.
Perfect. Wonderful. If you can stick around after, we'll help you to do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, and just to, some of the educators here are relatively new, and then some have been using WindowsWear for many, 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 many years. So we're always happy to connect with each and every one of you individually on anything. So
I'm interested in having an experience too.
That you do the guest, if you're able to come in and speak. I mean, I just think, again, too, that's another link, as we're all going to be obviously continuing in the lockdown, but a link to really sort of that outside world and what's really happening, keeping us on the pulse rather than feeling so isolated. So I really like that.
We're happy to do that, and we love to speaking to students and new people whenever. So we're very happy to do that for the schools that are WindowsWear members. 100%.
I'd like to add that we really enjoyed the contest that WindowsWear provided. I know their first competition, which was a window design competition, our students submitted their windows. We teach a class called Design Installation, and it's actually we have windows on campus where the students create different displays. They do it twice in the quarter with 2 different themes that's set by the faculty, the instructors who teach the class. And that was very exciting for our students because we actually placed in 2 categories. So having those competitions, I think, made it more exciting for the students and the faculty. And, even some of the projects that we're going to be doing this quarter in design installation, because it's a little bit different. The students aren't on campus to actually just create a display, but we gave them a different project, which they will be completing, that we're going to be excited to share with WindowsWear on how they do it through the whole COVID-19 experience of not being able to be on campus. But the competitions have been terrific, and I hope they continue.
Yeah, of course, it'll continue every year. We have 2 things with that, which you're talking about, Cindy, is the WindowsWear the Student Awards, where we have the students submit their final projects and for the chance to be nominated in one of the 9 categories that we have, which is pretty much from window display to interior design, packaging, sustainability, and so on. So that's something that is going to continue every year. And another thing that is going to continue is the mentorship program, which is that WindowsWear partner with a brand every year to offer, to assign a project to the student, that the project is coming from a brand. So the students have to develop that project, and then they have the chance to win different prizes. Last year, we had it with Coach, the New York City-based brand, and where they invited the students to imagine what the Coach holiday in 10 years will look like. And so all the students were very creative, and they will do an amazing designing windows and interior design and technology and screens and all that. And Coach picked the best 10. And then the best 3, and the 3 first places, they won kind of like a mentorship with the Coach team. In the first place, got a full year internship with Coach. So we're looking to do that also every year with a different brand. As right now the brands are a little bit skeptical about like every move that they need to do. So we're just like waiting a little bit to see who's going to be the next partner for WindowsWear with that. Perfect. Anybody wants to go next, or do you want us to point people? Oh, perfect, Charlotte. I was going to point you.
Hey guys, I'm Charlotte. I'm actually from Lipscomb University in Nashville, Tennessee. And like Jon referred to, I am one of the new ones to WindowsWear. Not only am I new to WindowsWear, I'm also new to academia. I spent my career in luxury bridal, actually owned a boutique here in Nashville for 15 years. And then post-sale, we actually have an online business forum for bridal boutique owners where we generate business content specifically for the bridal boutique model, which is very different than normal retail. From there, I came on this last year as executive in residence for the fashion program, really and truly to try and grow the program both academically and in numbers. So I am really excited. I jumped on the chance to get on a call like this with other people who do what I do, and maybe I myself am actually looking for a mentor. So this is such a great platform for something like this. So thank you guys for putting this little session together. So it has been very helpful for me. I'm actually hearing things that I have thought and taught in the last year, so that's encouraging. Maybe I am on the right track a little bit. I will second Daniel in saying that a digital home and a digital touch point as far as visuals go, that is sometimes the very first platform and the very first introduction that a consumer is getting to a brand or a consumer to a business. So it really is even dumbed down to the very basic of small business. It's the same for the tiniest business all the way up to the biggest. So definitely that digital home and creating that visual touch point and that beautiful branding. And we sit in the College of the Entertainment and the Arts, and our big thing is storytelling. And that's exactly what that is. It really is telling a story, a visual story with that digital touch point. And of course that runs the span of all visual elements. You are ultimately trying to tell a story. So that's definitely a point that we've made over and over for sure.
Of course. And Charlotte, thank you so much for your point. Welcome to WindowsWear. And if there's anything we can do for you personally, I'll be happy to give you a demo and teach you how to get the most out of WindowsWear as well at any time. I'm gonna put my email in the chat so you can just email me. Whenever you're free, I'm happy to give you a demo.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
We've got several people that are not based in North America that are that we'd like to make sure that they have a chance to introduce themselves as well. Wijdan, you're there. Can you say hi to everyone?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm from Saudi Arabia. It's a little late here, but I didn't want to miss opportunity to meet everyone. Thank you, Jon, for arranging this. It was a pleasure meeting all of you. So my background is in social psychological aspect of clothing. It has a little bit to do with merchandising, but I didn't take any visual merchandising class in my master or in my PhD. I had my PhD from Iowa State. I was teaching as a teacher assisting senior line, culture and dress. But then after I graduated, I came back to my home, Saudi Arabia, and I'm teaching now in King Abdulaziz University. So I'm new to this word. I guess I'm having a reverse culture shock where we're teaching in different language and they have nobody to teach visual merchandising. So they put me to the task. So I'm learning from you. Last semester was the first semester I taught visual merchandising branding class. It was fun. So the way how I did it, and I kind of did it fake it until we make it. Like I don't know, I didn't have that much experience. I have no industry experience at all. Jon was a lifesaver when I discovered the WindowsWear, and I saw the amount of like window display and visual merchandising content they have. I told my student to sign in the account, and then we go to a local business and I asked the student to analyze their visual identity as a brand. Then we design and make a window display for them. And we did that once. In the second semester, when COVID-19 influenced the entire world, we couldn't do that. So that was very challenging as a lot of you already mentioned, transforming to online was very challenging, especially here in our culture. It's not okay to turn on the video. So I'm teaching the student only with my mic. I don't know if anybody hearing me back, and I couldn't even open the video myself. So that's not just lack of communication. That was, you know, the presence of the teacher was very hard to do. And we couldn't, of course, do the Windows display, but I came up with the idea to bring a small box and make it a mini Windows display. And the university here is very strict. I wanted to do more stuff, but they're really like strict on like you have to meet your learning outcome. And one of the learning outcomes students have to design and make window display. And there is lockdown, curfew, where I'm gonna do window display. Everything is locked down. So we just came up with this small idea, and it turned perfect. I did not expect the student to do it or to do it that good. They used just recycled materials, and they did very well. Tiny windows display. In the end of the semester, I invite the entrepreneurs. They give them like 10% of the final grade to evaluate the student work, giving that my lack of experience in the industry, I wanted the student to hear from someone who actually in the industry. And we heard a lot of positive feedback, so that was my main challenge. My main challenge was in this small outcome. And I asked the student to sign in Windows Display, asked them to pick 3 brands that's similar to the brand they're designing Windows Display to. And then like kind of look at it from like a designer eyes with like, look at how visually they did it and then learn from it to design their own. And it was successful. So I'm so glad it was turned better than I expected. And I will teach this exact course next year because there is nobody else up to the task. My main challenge is translating the materials. I couldn't find a lot of materials in Arabic. I think it's new to the maybe, I don't know, Arab scholar. They don't care about this topic probably until now. So I'm thinking to write a book about it, kind of to use it as a textbook instead of just like randomly getting a lot of idea from everywhere and translate it like as a personal effort because there isn't any materials or source I can use. Yeah, and that was the main challenge. If you have any advice for me, I'll be happy to learn from you. I already did write the SketchUp and the Dimension Adobe. Actually, I used Dimensional Adobe before in another task. It's really good and easy to learn. But SketchUp, I will give it a try, and maybe we can use it next semester. So thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, just wanted to thank you again for being on. I know it's very late in the evening there, but you know, we can all agree you're breaking new ground in that part of the world, and we're all here to support you in any way that we can.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry if I sound a little sleepy. It's way past my bedtime, but I really, really appreciate the opportunity. I don't want to miss a word, so this is my notes. I write all of this from our conversation.
Unbelievable. And we're also recording this, and we'll also share the link with everyone as well. And we're gonna do this continuously. This is not the first time that we're doing this. I just want to give an opportunity. I just want to give a quick opportunity for a couple people that haven't yet introduced themselves. I believe Suzanne and Carrie. If you guys have the opportunity to just unmute yourselves, share your screen, and introduce yourselves to all of us.
Me?
No.
Suzanne? I don't know, Suzanne?
She might have left.
What are a few people there?
Okay, so Aisha's on the highway. Let's see. Anyone else? No, we had Carrie from the Dublin Institute of Technology. We just lost her, I believe. I think everyone had the opportunity to introduce themselves and to share more about them, which is absolutely fantastic. Any final thoughts? We want to make sure we're keeping this to an hour. Any final thoughts from anyone?
Yeah, also it's gonna be recorded and it's gonna be available because there's a few people that want to see it again. So it's gonna be available for rewatch.
This is a wonderful opportunity that you provided to educators. So thank you so much for pulling this together. And hopefully there'll be more down the line that we can do. And it's nice to see everybody from across the US and around the world.
Yeah, and I think Carrie just got back. Carrie, we were just waiting for you. Oh, there you are. Let's unmute you. There you are. Hey.
Hi. I'm in a castle in Northern Ireland with very dodgy Wi-Fi, so apologies for that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, and don't apologize that you're in a castle, okay?
We're frozen.
I wish I could be in the castle, Terry.
Yeah, we all wish we're in that castle with you. So don't apologize that you're currently at a castle with limited Wi-Fi.
I'll trade my Wi-Fi for the castle.
Okay, maybe we lost her. Is she there? I think we lost. Oh no, there she's there.
Again, in the meantime.
Oh, dodgy Wi-Fi.
I got through, but
okay.
I think they can hear me.
Again, just to state what you guys do in the classroom, it's really amazing. And at WindowsWear, we're so passionate about education and about like passing the torch to the new generations and just keep them informed. So we have internship programs. You know, if you have students that they're looking for an internship, we do have that. We have remote internship and also like in real life internship, whatever. We have that as well. So if your students are in need of internships and they would love to kind of like learn from a company and like WindowsWear, we'll be happy to host them. And also on the other side, if you ever need me, John, Mike, Jolene, Nicole, anybody on the team in one of your classes for any support or for any presentation, we're more than happy to do it. There's many topics that we can talk about. We can follow whatever theme or concept you have in mind, or we can just come up with something. But we're very, very keen on always helping the people that is a WindowsWear members like you, especially in these times that are so difficult. So just we're an email away.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And Cindy, you know, you thanked us, but we thank you, obviously, and everyone, as Raul mentioned. So we're going to do this again. This won't be the last time that we do this. We're looking to do this maybe a couple times a year, you know, as a regular way of continuing the conversation, because there's always going to be things that come up throughout the year, and it's always good to connect and learn from you guys. There are a lot of things that you guys had mentioned that I think were eye-opening for us as a company, as I'm sure for everyone here. And if we can help at least make one connection between you know, two educators at different schools and have them share experience, I think we can all agree that that's definitely worth the time.
Yeah.
So thank you again, everyone, and we will talk to everyone soon.